Hey folks, welcome back to Failure at Retirement. So today Failure's back in the hay field, obviously. They're raking the hay today. We had a little rain on Saturday. This hay was cut on Monday, then Saturday we had rain. Really poor timing on that. Let me turn the camera around so you can see what I'm looking at. Hang on. This rake, this is the brand is DARF, D-A-R-F. It's called the V rake because it's shaped like a V. Made for putting two windrows together mostly. So that's what he's doing. I'll get over there closer here in a minute. The DARF brand is made by Nickel Ironworks down the south end of the San Joaquin Valley in California. I actually was friends with Jack Nickel when I was going to college. Okay, so back to the hay. So we had that rain. What the rain does is it leaches out the color. Obviously the hay gets wet. Let me go over here where he hasn't raked yet. The sun also bleaches the color out. I'm going to get into more detail. I realized after the last video, Buzz from Buzz's Retirement Garage had a bunch of questions, and I realized I just assumed that everybody watching my channel knew about farming and hay, and well, I know that's not the case. Anyway, the rain has really, and the sun, really bleached this out. And as a rule of thumb for feed, which this will be horse feed and at this point probably a little more cow feed, you want it green. It depends a little bit on the type, on what you have grown. Oats, for instance, or wheat, for instance, it's a little harder to keep it green. Ryegrass is also kind of hard to keep green, but you definitely want some color in there. Horse people for sure won't buy it if it's not green. Cow people don't care. Cows don't care. And since this got rained on, it's not going to have as much color. It's probably going to be mostly cow feed this year. However, I will say that given how much rain we had, we got a little more color than what I figured. And I don't know if it really shows on the camera, but like right in here especially, that's what was on the bottom. Pretty green. And honestly, this feels really dry. So I don't know how much rain we got. Easily a ½ inch. So this is good. This is already pretty dry. I'm going to check another spot over here. So there's a couple reasons for raking it 2 rows into one. It just makes the baling go a little faster. And then also, I think kind of helps with the color. Generally, if you're raking today, you want to be baling tomorrow. Since this got rained on, that's not really a sure thing, but generally that's what you want. Now here, I don't know if you can see it, this real brown stuff, the rake has probably pulled up a little bit of last year's stubble. That's not great. But even this stuff that looks like it could be wetter doesn't have that feel. A little bit right here, but we've got a little bit of north wind today, so that should come out of it. So So my best guess is they will be baling starting tomorrow morning. So once it's baled, then you'll have the square cubes that people are familiar with seeing beside the highway or on trucks or whatever. This will all be small square bales. In this part of the country, the West Coast, from what I understand, is weird, and we normally make 3-string bales, where anything further east, like east of maybe Utah, it's pretty much all, or maybe east of the Rockies, it's pretty much all 2-string or round bales. There are a few round bales made here, and then the big square bales, I have a video stacking some of them. Those bales are getting more and more common here, but still anybody with a smaller livestock operation or a horse, they still want the small squares. The cow guys will use the rounds and the big squares. And what do I mean by small square and big square? So small square, generally around, 15 inches by maybe 22 inches by about 48, roughly 47, something like that. The big squares in this part of the country, big squares are generally 4 foot by 3 foot by 8 foot. And round bales are generally anywhere around 5 to 7 foot diameter. Don't really know for sure. I never personally have done anything with round bales, but there are a few guys around here starting to make them more and more. Alright, so I think that pretty well does it. He's raking this afternoon. He should get most of the way finished today, I think. So I'm pretty sure they'll be baling tomorrow morning, probably, possibly tonight. When you bale, you have to have a certain amount of dew. Makes the bales tighter, makes them kind of stick together better, if that makes sense. And I'm not a hay baling guy. I've barely run a hay baler. I really don't know anything about it. But you want to get your overall moisture content, I believe, in the low teens, 12, 13%, somewhere around there, if I remember right, is kind of ideal. And don't quote me on that because I'm not a hay baler. On bigger bales, generally you want it a little bit drier than that. But that would be the total moisture, basically, with the dew. And what you need to have to get the bale to stick together and be tight and heavier. But if you get too high a moisture, whether that's too much dew or too much moisture in the product, that's when you can get mold at the very least. And if it gets really bad, your stack can get on fire. That's spontaneous combustion. It just gets hot in there as it sweats, and it'll light the stack on fire. A guy I stacked for burned his barn down, I think 2 years ago. He bought some hay. It wasn't hay that I stacked, or it wasn't his hay. He bought some hay, stacked it in his barn, and burned it all down, hay and barn. So that's the kind of thing you want to avoid. You definitely, as a guy selling hay, don't want to be the guy that sells the hay that burns another guy's barn down. Not a good plan. Anyway, if you have any questions, drop a comment. I'll try to answer it. If I don't answer it in the comment, I'll try to answer it in the next video, because I'm sure I'll be back here for some of the hay baling. Alrighty, appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next time on Failure at Retirement. Have a good day.